Summary of events for the city of Damascus and its countryside for Tuesday, April the 2nd. Starting from Al-Mazze, where a number of cars were burnt around Al-Muwasa hospital and smoke billowed as a result, the reason of the fire remains unknown, while several motors hit برزة in many of the neighborhood's areas. 4 lost their lives and 10 were injured because of the cannon bombing on residential areas. Jobber was exposed to shelling with rocket launchers as fierce clashes between the Free Army and regime forces continued in the city. A significant progress was noted on the Free Army's side when the regime soldier was sniped in the neighborhood. And affirming the continuity of peaceful movement, rebels in Al-Salihiyya organized a demonstration in front of Ahmed Kaftaro complex, cheering for the afflicted cities, saluting the Free Army and demanding the departure of the regime. Moving to the southern areas of the capital, the inhabitants of Al-Hajar al-Aswad were calling for help from the owners of lifting equipments and machineries to pull out tens of wounded people stuck under ruins and asking for medical aid to supply field hospitals. 10 died and 10 were wounded, including children, because of a landline missile that hit the neighborhood, while a woman and a child died and 10 were injured because of shelling with mortars and rocket launchers that renewed on the neighborhood, causing huge destruction. Heavy bombing hit Al-Asali, causing the injury of 2 children, one in dangerous condition, while fierce clashes between the 2 armies took place in At-Tadamun. Note that regime army set a rocket launcher near the Thawra dispensary in Nisreen Street. Fierce clashes between the Free Army and regime forces took place in El Yarmouk camp, and a landline missile hit Al Aruba Street, while a huge fire broke out near the All Cemetery because of the heavy shelling on the camp. Bombing on Al-Qadam continued, and smoke continued to rise from many areas in the neighborhood, and in Al-Qابون, a mine planted by regime security exploded in the neighborhood, while smoke was seen rising because of the continuous bombing that caused great destruction. To the countryside, where the area of Naji in Sasa witnessed a massacre by regime forces who executed 8 citizens. Their names were Ahmed Hussein al-Bayda, Muhammad Hamdan al-Bayda, Abdullah Hassan al-Bayda, Shakir al-Bayda, Rami, Sufyan and Bilal al-Sabsabi, and a martyr whose name was not known. Heavy shelling with mortars and rocket launchers on Yalda continued, so was Babila, that was exposed to heavy shelling with mortars and artillery. The Free Army significantly progressed in Sayda Zainab after fierce clashes with regime forces since the early morning, and Al-Muqayliba was exposed to shelling with mortars as several people died and others were injured, while 4 people of the refugees from one family died in Al-Qadam because of the shelling that caused big destruction, as Deir Makir was raided by regime security who were supported with tanks. As for Daraya, cannon and rocket shelling continued on the city as smoke was seen rising because of bombing on residential alleys, while a security convoy headed to the eastern entrance to the city from Al-Mazze military airport since the early morning, supported with a big number of tanks, cars with dashkas, and buses for transporting soldiers in an attempt to break into the city, and the Free Army surrounded a house that was occupied by regime forces, while cannon bombing targeted a number of residential neighborhoods in Al-Mu'addamiyya. Also in the western Ghouta, Fursan al-Sunna battalion announced the insurance of the breakup of several soldiers from the regime army, and the Free Army targeted places of security concentration there. As for the eastern Ghouta, military aircraft set 2 aerial raids from the direction of Al-Mleha, coinciding with shelling by mortars, rocket launchers and artillery, causing the injury of 10, some in serious conditions, and the death of 2, Muhammad Azmi al-Kayyal and Zahir Dughmush, while the Free Army sniped 3 regime snipers who centralized on top of Al-Tamiko factory, coinciding with clashes in Al-Mleha. Duma was exposed to bombing with rocket launchers that targeted the residential areas, while huge military reinforcements headed to Harran al-Awamid town from the national airport, and each Al-Abbade, Ain Tarma and Beit Saham were bombed with mortars and heavy artillery since the early morning.